Welcome to another episode of Skillionaires, the podcast where stories stick and strategies scale. And today we're gonna talk about skills, mindset, and the journey behind extraordinary success. Today's guest is someone who redefines freedom actually on her own terms. And she's an entrepreneur, she's a digital nomad, and the founder of the Nomad Escape. Michelle Maree helps people to design life and business that supports freedom, location independency, and also personal growth, without sugarcoating the challenges that are behind it and come with it. In this episode, we'll talk about her beginnings, hard moments, and the point where she thinks everything could have been scaled or can be scaled. So, very warm welcome to our episode, Michelle.
Oh, thank you so much. That was lovely. It was lovely. You did great homework. I love it. It's a great introduction.
Yes, thank you for recognizing that. Michelle, I saw you on stage when we met the first time on the Gladiator Summit.
Yes.
That was a really big moment where you was on stage and I was fascinated by your story. And I wanted to actually know, in the first question that I have, where did it all started, and how did you come to realize that I cannot have a life that is, as a lot of people think, ordinary, I would say, but in your terms, independent?
Yeah.
Let me know.
Thank you for asking that question. And it's a very important question, I think, for anyone who creates a business beyond themselves. When I look back on my journey, the easy answer is to give hey, I, was struggling with a certain challenge myself and I created a business around it. But actually with me, it goes way deeper. And I realized that only in the last 3 years that my bigger why is really connected to my life story. I grew up in the Netherlands, next to Germany, close to you, actually. And I grew up in a quite dysfunctional family. My parents had a lot of issues and challenges to manage their own lives. And I was observing at a very young age already, wow, they are struggling so much with money. They're struggling so much with a poverty mindset. They're dependent on the government. They had no freedom. And they always were victimizing themselves. It's oh, look at the neighbors, they have that. And these people do have money. And look at us, we have nothing. So at a young age, I got a very bad relationship with money. And the only thing I knew, and I think the first realization I got, I was 10 years old. We were celebrating Carnival, what you also do in Germany.
Yes,
we do that on the border of the Netherlands. And personally, I never liked it. I don't like the music there. I like the dressing up, but the music not. And I can remember that I looked around me at 10 years old. I was dressed up as a cat, actually, at that point. And I came from a very bad night at home where my father had a very, let's say, an episode of his mental breakdowns, and then he took me and my family out of the bed in the middle of the night and did threatened crazy things either way, to not go in details. So I had very bad sleep as a child. And then I was celebrating Carnival, and then I realized I was looking around me and I was thinking about where I'm from. I'm when I'm old enough, I need to get out here. I didn't like the culture where I grew up, in the Netherlands in the South. I didn't like the music. And I felt I don't belong here. I belong into the world, the more exotic or tropical, or having experiences and adventures. And that life already at a very young age felt very off for me. I didn't feel connected to where I grew up. Plus, in my environment, everyone was victimizing themselves. And I was already hey, this is not how life should be. So growing a little bit older, my parents divorced at the end. But
let me dive shortly in. I wanted to know, coming to this realization, because I find so much parallels in my realization, and I wanted to match on how old were you when you have realized that? Because in my childhood, I constantly felt not belong to the place that I grew up in.
Yeah.
And I constantly waited for the bus to go out in the world. I was
me
sitting
too.
on the bus station,
Yes.
literally all my childhood.
Yes. No, I had exactly the same. It's interesting that you say that. I think the first time I really realized it, maybe some awareness, maybe it's 6 years old or 5 years old.
Wow.
Because I started watching TV shows. We had a TV show, for example, Skippy, the bush kangaroo. And it was about Australia. It was about kangaroos and koalas. And I'm like, wow, like I want to see that. I want to experience that. I want to see the world. I was watching National Geographic. I want to go into the Amazon and have adventures.
Yes.
And I felt like, that is not in the Netherlands. So, you know, like from a environmental, physical perspective, it's like I don't belong here. And the people around me.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is only speaking for you to be so awake. And not a lot of people have that. And having such an environment of victimizing parenthood or other circumstances to be honest enough and strong enough to stick to that little gut feeling.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, I find, they override this gut feeling because they feel so much out of place, often like the fly in the milk.
Yeah.
And then they just be conditioned by the behavior of the environment. So, and then as you was growing older, then what happened? Where did you realize, let me get out of here?
Well, I had no choice.
Okay.
Because when I grew older, when I was 14 years old, I ended up in the streets. And I became homeless because my parents were not able to take care of me anymore.
Oh.
So I ended up in the streets. I moved place to friends' couches and all these things. I ended up sleeping a few nights literally in the streets. And of course, like in the Netherlands, you know, you have good facilities. So let's say the youth care and the social workers, they pick me up. And I grew up there in homeless shelters for children between 14 and 23 years old, so youngsters.
I get goosebumps, and that's not because I'm cold. I'm cold here.
Yeah. So me being in that environment and looking around me, because I realized like, okay, I'm now living in a home with other kids who have no support, no backup, no parents. And most likely they're going to end up like, excuse my French, shit. You know, I saw many girls around me, 15, 16, becoming pregnant. Everyone was like on drugs or dealing drugs. I was myself like a rebel. I was like always high. I was always smoking weed. I was like a hip hop girl listening to Tupac and Biggie. You know, I could resonate with that music because I grew up in a tough situation. But then I realized like, okay, this is not where I want to end up. I don't want to be pregnant at 16. I don't want to end up, you know, like being stuck in this town and be dependent on the government on my, you know, like payout moment. And then, you know, have 40 euros a month left over to do some groceries at the Aldi or so, or Lidl. Like, hell no. And I did not know what was possible in life. I only knew that I didn't want this. That was the only thing. And
I congratulate you. And I have so much respect for you as a child, a teenager, being switched on with equipped such an determined mindset to go out, not knowing. Not knowing for what, but just knowing that that place that you're in is not the place you want to stay in. Wow.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, I mean, if you don't have access to that information, you know, like I didn't know there were personal development books. I didn't know you could work abroad. I didn't know that you could create a business like what I have today. So it was very limited. So the only way for me was, to study, get a good job, you know, like have that life, because I was like, okay, I can grow. But once I did that, at the end, I was like, wow, this is very limiting. And then I looked for alternative ways, and we will get there. But I think that's like when you feel within that something is missing or something is off, like your body and your gut always tells you what you need. And it's the child within you, let's say the inner child, you know, like the little girl that was 6 years old, like, oh my God, there's so much more in the world. She was talking through me throughout all this periods, still today. You know, like I'm naturally, when I wake up in the morning, I wake up I don't want to even, but I wake up every day at 5:36 automatically. I haven't set an alarm for years. And I wake up like a SpongeBob. I'm like, okay, I'm ready. Let's explore the world. Let's build things, let's build business. Let's, like help people. Let's do cool stuff. So I always had that natural excitement in me. So I was like, okay, let's explore what we can do. I think like my journey took quite long, because if I would have access to that information earlier, I would have been more successful earlier. But it made me who I am today. And I'm very grateful for the journey. And
yes. And with your journey, you obviously can help today a lot of others, because you knew the way.
Yeah.
You learned how it is, and you can speak from a point of experience.
Yes.
And with people that have experienced something like that, others following much more easier, isn't it?
Yeah.
So let me ask you something. When you had then experienced to get your elbows out and stand up for yourself and go your way, what was the first situation where you had actually felt, aha, I'm free out of this environment.
Yeah.
And maybe yet I'm not on this position where I can reach my end goal, or where I reached my end goal, or get some kind of the feeling, wow, I made it somehow.
Yeah.
What was the first business that you have done? Kind of, how did you create a cash flow in a young age like that for yourself?
Yeah, well, there's many different questions that you asked, like there were 6 at the same time. So I'm trying to pick one. Like, let's say first, the feeling of freedom. I always dreamt of going abroad. So let's say before I had a business, I did, study. I went to university. I studied social work and education and psychology. And I had the dream to go abroad. So I moved to South America, to Suriname. And me arriving there, landing, and I saw the Amazon, and I saw this different culture. Like, wow, I feel alive. Like, finally, I feel alive. So that was the first time I really felt the freedom. Back then, I had a partner or boyfriend then. And he was like, okay, come back after. And I'm like, I'm not going to go back. Hell no. And I wanted to go. I had to still graduate. I had to go to, I had to graduate. And I decided to go to Amsterdam, to the big city, right? The capital of the Netherlands. And he's like, what are you going to do there? What kind of relationship is this? Like, I need to do this, to go and explore and go to the big city. So from that moment, I think I grabbed my independence and, more the opportunities I had, moved to the big city, and there I developed a school for these kids, the homeless kids. So our kids who were in prison, actually, that's what I did. Like, I created like a very unique educational concept. And there I saw the business side of education. So instead of only, I worked with the kids, I was in the class, I worked with the parents, but I also was in the back end. So I was on the funding side. I saw like the budget, I saw how, like governments deal with the budget and like local institutions. Like, okay, I like this as well. And then I developed a whole methodology on how they work with the children there. So that was the first time I really developed something, even though it was not my own business. I'm like, okay, I like it. I like creation. I like to innovate new things.
You started to have the first feeling of how it would be. You could actually think it on another level.
Exactly.
Here you go. You had already back then your scaling skills
basically
switched on. No?
Exactly. And I did that, and that was great. And after 2 years, I realized, like, I live in Amsterdam. This is going to be the standard life. And very soon I outgrew, again, the people around me. So where I came from was limiting. But now I was in Amsterdam, was great. But I developed myself very fast. I could have, like, become the director of the school and all these things. And I'm like, okay, is this it? And get the house and get the standard life. And I felt I needed more. So I decided to move back to South America, and there I did a lot of different things. And at the end, I became a director of an educational institute for security and safety risk management training. So again, it was not my company, but I became the CEO of that company at 26. And I had no clue what I was doing. They offered me that because I was good with people and knew education. And there I really I learned to do business because I was in charge of the revenue growth, basically. So I had to do business I had to sell. No clue. I had no understanding of it, but I thought, okay, let's talk to people. And then I found out like it's all relationships.
Yeah.
And how I was able to connect people there as well and make gap analysis of, okay, where are they standing now? What do they need? And how can we support you with that? So there I grew the company massively. And during that period, I felt again like, oh my God, I'm getting stuck in the standard rat race, like after 2-3 years. And then I went to the Amazon almost every weekend. So like while I was like dressed like this as a director, and the weekend is like my Bob Marley on, my flip flops, nice beer, and just going in a boat somewhere in the Amazon.
Yeah, okay.
And there I started collecting wood. Wood, like literally wood.
Okay.
So you have an area in that country. It's a reservoir lake. So it's a big area that they put on the water 60 years ago to generate electricity. So it's a big part of the Amazon. So all the wood that is in there that sticks out of the water, that's the most expensive and strongest hardwood in the world. Tropical hardwood, yeah.
And you were just driving along,
I was just
collecting the wood diamonds.
I mean, yeah, kind of. I was like, oh, this is beautiful. So I started just collecting. And then suddenly I had a lot of these pieces of wood.
Yeah.
And one day I thought like, okay, why am I not doing something with it? So then I started creating some lamps and some things, basically some art, some furniture. And then I created a brand. Just like I went online and I was like, okay, a website where you can make funds. And it's called Design by Nudu. So that was my first company.
Wow.
Almost no one knew that. I rarely talk about that. So I started making arts out of wood and driftwood and skulls even of cows. So the idea, the concept was like to bring back life to old materials that were forgotten. Instead of using IKEA, what can we use?
Yeah.
Right?
My grandfather always says, the money lays on the street. You just have to know how to pick it up.
It's true.
And you just picked it up in the middle of the Amazon.
Exactly.
It's so good. Yeah.
Exactly.
And you had so many times and opportunities to rehearsal, actually.
Yes.
And I find it so fantastic, mumtaz, we say here in Arabic, that you have basically used all of these opportunities that has life pushed through towards you, some opportunities, and you created and took every opportunity to create something out of it. I find this such a good Skillionaire moment.
Thank you from the Skillionaire. So I saw opportunities. I started selling that, and that was the first money I really made for myself. And I became very known in a very short amount of time. Like all the oil company directors, the ministers, they were buying my work, and I found out, I'm actually really good in branding, and But then I noticed already, like within me, like I had the job, like as a director, serious corporate job. I was doing the arts, and I loved the arts, but I also loved business, and I loved, and then I went to the art fair, the gallery, and they called it like the first hour when the gallery opens. They called it for the elite people, and then they could buy already what they wanted. Yeah. But I came there on my Nikes, let's say, and then. And the people like, you can't do that. Like, I'm the artist. Like, of course I can do that. Like, you can make money on your bare feet, right? Yeah. So, come on. So I noticed like, okay, I can't be in the standard package of business, making money. I love that, but I also want to be free. So, then I thought really well about my life. At the end, like I was 29. And then I thought, I want to travel the world. And then I went back to being that little girl who looked at all these documentaries about Australia. It was my big dream to go to Australia always. And until 30 years old, you can get a working holiday visa. I'm not sure if you are aware of that. Like many people in Europe do that.
I heard about that. Never experienced it, but maybe I introduce it to my kids.
Like I highly recommend it because you can just go there and get a job for 1 year, right? So you can make money while you travel. I had no digital skills yet. So it's like, okay, this is the only opportunity. And I told my partner, like, listen, I really want to do this. I need to do this for myself. And he's like, we have a great life here. It's like, I know, like we had 2 cars, 3 cats, a nice house, all the whole thing. And like, I was pretty known. I was on live TV shows. I'm like, it's not it. Like, there's more, right? And he didn't want to come with me. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I have to go. So I left him and I backpack and a few €1,000. I went to Australia, starting all over again. As a waitress, I started as a tour guide. I did all different types of jobs. And then after a while, I realized like, okay, I love this lifestyle. I love the travel, exploring new places, going wherever I want to be. And I love making money. but it was limited because I was working as a waitress and then I made some money. You paid very well in Australia. So you could easily make like 10K or so, but then you travel 4 months or 3 months and it's gone.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I don't want to have this cycle. And then I thought like, okay, how can I make money while I travel? And I literally Googled how to make money online. I had no clue, literally.
Okay.
And then I just saw different skills that you can develop, like marketing or development. And I chose Facebook ads. It's just like I took, how can you make the fastest money? And I found Facebook ads. I went on YouTube, and every morning from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. I was in the library studying. And 2 p.m. until 12 or so, I worked as a waitress in a casino. And so I just started developing these skills. And then before I was ready, actually, I posted on Facebook groups, in local Facebook groups in Australia, like, hey guys, my name is Michelle. I'm a digital marketer. I'm developing my skills in Facebook ads. Who here, I'm looking for local business owners who want to increase their leads. Who's interested? Now, within 30 minutes, I had like 30 leads, of course, you know.
I have a podcast guest in the future.
Yeah.
He has this as a marketing strategy. He actually invents Facebook groups in order to post stuff like that for his business.
Exactly.
So Facebook groups is a good strategy by itself. Huh?
It's very good. Very good. Now it's different because it's like less accessible unless you have your own. I have my own as well, but I don't use it so much anymore. I have now different channels, but then it worked really well.
Yeah.
And I posted on Facebook groups. I got my first leads. I chose 3 companies and I provided my services. It was for free. First, to give them a good experience. And say, the only thing I want is a testimonial because I had no clients then.
Yes.
And they loved it. And they're like, we want to hire you. I'm like, okay. So then suddenly, bam, I had 3 clients, from 0 to 3 clients. Like, okay, great. So for one, I did Facebook ads. For one, I did web development. I developed like social media, little digital skills. And it was great. And then something interesting happens because I didn't know really the word digital nomad or remote work. I just like, okay, I want to be free. So when I started making my first money, I was still a tax resident in the Netherlands. So I wanted to register myself as a freelancer, basically. And I'm like, okay, how can I do that? So I called the Chamber of Commerce in the Netherlands. And I'm like, hey, I'm Michelle. This is what I'm doing. I'm going to start making money. Can I register my business? And the lady's like, but what do you think? I'm like, excuse me? Like, you need to come here physically. You need to sign. I'm like, but I can do that from here. Like, no, ma'am. Like, you need to be physically here. And what do you think? That you can just travel? This is literally what she said. That you can just travel the world and do all this stuff and make money like that. I'm like, yeah. Why not? And she said, this is not how it works. And she pissed me off. And I'm like, of course, this should be. I didn't know how, again, but it should be possible.
I'm always getting so much motivated if somebody tells me it's not possible.
Exactly.
I was like, let me find out and come back later. I'll show you it's possible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then I got obsessed with alternative business models. So I literally, Googled like, okay, how is it if you're a Dutch person and you are in Australia and you want to make money, And then I found out, like, okay, there is something like the e-residency in Estonia. And then I found out like the word digital nomad and all these things. And I was a digital nomad. Before that was interesting because I started with working online and I started feeling a little bit disconnected. And everyone around me in Australia, where I was, they were mainly backpackers. And all the people who worked in the casino also backpacker. But I was very ambitious. I was reading a little bit books about money already and getting interested in these topics. But no one around me was. So I posted in another Facebook group, like, hi guys, my name is Michelle. And I'm an ambitious solo traveler. That's how I call myself. I didn't know. So the 4 people showed up. It was my first ever thing at my house, just drinking coffee. And then we grabbed the laptops out. Shall we work together? So I didn't know about this world. And then when I got into like alternative business models and like, how can you register? Then I found the word digital nomad. I'm like, oh, maybe that's me. Maybe I want to be that. Because this is now, how long ago? Like 8 years ago, I'm talking about. So it was not so known, I think, as now, like commercialized. And then I Googled digital nomad, where they hang out, Bali.
But hang out.
Bali, yes, of course. And then it was great. So I went to Bali, of course. I moved into an entrepreneur villa. It was from Draper Startup House, from Tim Draper's, the biggest VC in Silicon Valley. So it was really cool, actually. And there were other entrepreneurs, and it was a really cool concept. And there were meetups and stuff, but yet there were not moments that you really sit together, for example, with a group, like, okay, what are you building? What are you working on? Let's say you have your podcast, and what are you stuck with? And you say, I just say something, the distribution, or, your operations team. Yeah. How can we help each other? I missed that.
So you didn't have no interaction, no reflection.
No, because you're doing it all alone, right? And I missed that so much. And I love it. You can wake me up in the middle of the night like, Michelle, at 3 a.m., I have an idea. Let's grab a whiteboard. I'm like, fuck yeah, let's grab a whiteboard. Let's go, right? I love that. So, and I couldn't really do that with anyone. So basically I started creating meetups and bringing these people together, right? And
meetups like in the home with those 4 people, you just
but then with groups in Bali, basically.
And first you did this for yourself, basically, to get reflection.
Exactly.
And
Exactly. And before that, it was interesting because also in Australia, I had another job. I was kind of like a tour guide, and there were many backpackers on it. The concept was really cool, but I didn't like the people that much because they were not like ambitious people. They were like, drinking, partying, and all these things, right? So I was like, okay, what if I can do this concept, the traveling, but then with people like myself? And then my business partner that I started the business with originally, he was one of my colleagues on these trips. And then we sat together like, okay, why don't we create something for people like ourselves? And like I'm good in developing like trainings and learning environments. I'll create a program, right? So we combined travel with masterminding, with learning. So we did the skill, we did skill share mapping. So I developed a whole methodology and program that in the shortest amount of time, people can get to know each other on the deepest level, personally and professionally, and can start doing business together and support each other.
That is always the point of where I'm asking, what was the point that you find, okay, here I have the leverage point. Here exactly I can scale. Here again I can detach time from factor money and labor. How did it happen? And how did you come to know, okay, this is the point of I can leverage?
Yeah. Well, that was not the point of leverage really yet. It was the early beginning, I would say. But I realized that, for example, with digital marketing, I had a one-on-one client. I could serve one client. But now I could serve groups. So instead of charging one person 2,000 euros, I can do 10.
Yeah, exactly. Detach labor
right?
from factor money and time.
In that sense. Yeah. So it's like, okay, interesting. So now we can do groups. What if we can do multiple groups, right? So then it became easier. So and that was it was the pre-pandemic. So we did like road trips and, like these meetups and all these things. But I didn't have a digital business yet. I didn't have the digital component, which I have right now. And that came after the pandemic. But realizing that you can do group work, that's just like what's really important. And then at a later point, like, okay, what if we bring these people together online? Because not everyone can travel. We get a lot of traction, like, I want to be part of an entrepreneurial community, but I cannot go now to Dubai, for example. Can I join online? So now we created like a space for people to join online, and at the end they join also our events.
Okay. Tell us a little bit more about your program. You have basically a space where digital nomads can be in an entrepreneurial mindset kind of environment. Learn from all of your skills and others maybe because you created.
Exactly.
And how long is this? Where we can find it? What somebody needs to bring in? And maybe somebody who wants to become a digital nomad, can he also be a part of it? Or do you have to be already a digital nomad to be a part of it?
It's actually interesting because it's not only for digital nomads. We started like that, but we got actually... I think that 70% of the people who join us is not really a digital nomad. They are entrepreneurs. They're location independent. They're digital, but they're not per se digital nomads. So they go away for a few times a year, and they love it that I go to Dubai or I go to Bali or I go next week to the Philippines or Vietnam. They're like, okay, this is a great opportunity. I'm at home, working from home, but now I can join this group who's going there. So actually, not so many digital nomads. And I'm also shifting away from the digital nomad principle because we're not really teaching anyone how to become a digital nomad. We never spoke about the topic digital nomadism, but we talk about the skills. Like we always say, and it's interesting how you open, like grow your skills, network, and business. That is our, while you're in a really cool environment, in different space and all these things. So now we're shifting also, like we're in a rebranding. We have like my signature event every year in Madeira Island, where Darius was a speaker, Ken Honda was a speaker. We had like pretty like well-known people speaking there. It was always Nomad Island Fest, and we're shifting more towards founders. So now it's a Founders Island Fest. I'm really focusing on founders, connectors, community builders, because I really believe in when, you know, like when you build a business beyond yourself, you can have a lot of impact. So it's not only me being a service provider, okay, build a website, or I'm a coach for one-on-one. But when we build a brand and a movement, we can impact many people together. And if you bring them all together, it just multiplies.
That's what impresses me the most about your work. You are not only looking for how much I can scale my revenue, but how much I can scale the impact.
Yes, exactly.
And that is something that really fascinates me when I heard you about your work and being on stage. And this Digital Nomad Festival, when is it?
At the 4th until the 10th of December.
And do you have already the name changed for it, as you say?
Founders Island Fest.
Founders Island Fest.
Yes.
I need to mark this in my calendar.
Yes, you're very welcome. You can do podcasts there with people. It will be great.
That's true.
Founder, and also like in 2 months we will be in Vietnam. There's going to be a founders retreat as well, so a smaller group, more intimate setting. Then I will go to Japan. Ken Honda speak at his event. And then we do also like events and retreats for corporates. So I work with like remote individuals and remote teams. So the last event I did was like for 200 people. They flew in from, it was US, New Zealand, Australia, all to Portugal. And then I designed the whole program for them. I'm the host, and then fly in my team, and we design the whole experience.
Wow.
So everything
very nice
around dynamics.
Look
and people.
at you. I'm so proud to have you here.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you something very controversial.
Yeah.
And I'm starting with an quote.
Okay.
Who wants to go fast goes alone. This was an incredible interview with Michelle Maree, and I'm very happy to present you the next week, the following week, the second part. You should stay tuned and await all of the insightful topics that Michelle talks with me in the second part of the interview. I'm so glad that we could pick her brain.